I love the NFL. I love the NFL. But Christmas is our day.
Flashback.
The best ratings we've ever had were the year we went on strike, Dan, and started on Christmas. I think we need to seriously consider starting at Christmas, because you get caught. Because listen, you're wasting your time going up against the NFL and college football. They own the weekends now. But if we started at Christmas, we'd have all the count. There's no other sports, that we'd have to compete with if we started at Christmas. College football would be over. Pro football is winding down. We'd have the entire calendar, late December, January, February, March, April, May, June, to ourselves.
It's a Christmas miracle. The NBA is not getting roasted for their substandard product on the basketball court for the first time in forever. This is Sports Guy Talking that you guys are watching and listening to. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am here today to talk about LeBron James reminding the NFL that Christmas is an NBA tradition. Apparently, LeBron James was asked this question after the Lakers beat the Warriors by the score of 115-113 on Christmas Day. The NBA did an excellent job hosting competitive games on Christmas Day, which is something that I have not said about the NBA a whole lot this season. Before I say anything else, though, I want to present you guys with a topic question. So here it is. Should Christmas be an NBA's day instead of being an NFL's day? I'm going to say yes to that question, and it's clear that NBA games are better played on Christmas Day. The NFL had multiple blowouts during Christmas Day. Obviously, these were all playoff caliber teams. Chiefs, Steelers, Ravens, and Texans were all teams that are going to make playoffs in the AFC, but that was not a good product whatsoever. It looked entirely rushed, and all of those teams looked like they were not playing at full strength. The Kansas City Chiefs, a team that has been notorious for playing in a lot of one-score games, were able to blow out the Steelers. They beat the Steelers down by 19 points. The Pittsburgh Steelers did not look like a good football team whatsoever. They looked entirely unprepared to play on Christmas Day. Obviously, that first game was a wash. Then the second game was Ravens-Texans. That was also a snooze fest of a football game. The Ravens just ran all over the Texans. CJ Stroud looked like an absolute scrub out there on the football field, but I think it speaks volume as to how the NFL scheduled their games on Christmas Day. The NFL is not meant for football to be played on Christmas. You look at the history of the NFL, they've tried to notoriously avoid scheduling games on Christmas Day because they know that the product on Christmas Day would be substandard compared to the NBA. The NBA right now has horrible ratings. No one is going to deny that. A lot of people have been roasting the NBA this season because their ratings have been absolutely horrible. It's even worse than usual. We already knew that NBA ratings sucked in general, but now it's gotten even worse. I believe the NBA has hit rock bottom. A lot of people just simply do not care to watch today's version of the NBA. Even I've lost some interest in following the modern NBA because there is too much three-point shooting, there's too much low management going on, and just quite frankly, everything about the game of basketball is not really pure basketball anymore. It's too much like soccer these days. A lot of people don't like it whatsoever, and the NBA has turned their product into soccer being played on a basketball court, except instead of using your feet, you're using your hands, and it's basically a contest to see how hard can somebody flop during a basketball game. But on Christmas Day, that was not the case. I actually saw competitive basketball being played. I saw teams actually diversify their play styles yesterday, and I actually saw games came down to the wire, something that cannot be said in today's NBA more often than not. You look at the Spurs-Knicks game, that was incredibly competitive. You actually had teams taking mid-range shots and actually having teams play defense, which is something that I don't say about a lot of players in the modern NBA. That was a very intense game. That was more intense than the Christmas Day game in the NFL. Both of those games, in fact. And then, of course, you look at the Lakers-Warriors game last night. That was incredibly competitive as well. I was impressed with how those guys played basketball. We keep talking about how the regular season doesn't matter for these players. You tell that to LeBron James and Steph Curry on Christmas Day because those two guys were going at it all night long. I was incredibly impressed with the effort the Lakers and Warriors displayed on Christmas Day. Matter of fact, that is probably something that I need to see more often from the NBA. Of course, Celtics-Sixers was pretty good as well. Same thing with Timberwolves Timberwolves Mavericks, the biggest blowout win was 10 points. That was the Suns blowing out the Nuggets by 10 points, so that's not really a blowout. The Nuggets were kind of in it throughout the game. Obviously, the competitiveness of those games were quite frankly acceptable. As for the NFL, they looked like the NBA in terms of having multiple blowout games while having a substandard product. I was impressed with the NBA for yesterday. This was actually a battle they won, at least in my mind. I also want to show you guys this clip of Colin Cowherd talking about the current state of the NBA. It's going to be audio only for copyright related reasons. Roll the film.
We err on the side of consumption. We're looking for fun stuff. But if you don't change the NBA and you got a bunch of guys jacking up threes, the public is right. The ratings are plummeting. They don't want up 72 threes in this game you're watching. Everybody play. Oklahoma City was 5 of 32. Let me ask you this. Would you watch my show if I was mispronouncing every other word, or would you go, it's not very efficient? Have you ever seen CNN's ratings go down? Maybe it's the 38 people on the set. The public is always right.
You are correct, sir. Yes!
Good points, Colin Cowherd. I don't necessarily agree with everything you say in general, but in terms of this topic, I completely agree with what Colin Cowherd said. The customer is always right, and the NBA needs to do a better job understanding what the customer wants. And the NBA has not done a good job evolving to the current sports fan in America. The NBA is too much of a global product nowadays compared to just 10 years ago. Obviously, a lot of Americans are not going to be able to relate to foreign superstars. I'm sorry, but that's just the truth. I know some people are going to say, oh, I'm being xenophobic. Oh, I'm being a hater of Giannis Antetokounmpo. I'm being a hater of Joel Embiid. I'm being a hater of Luka Doncic. But that's just simply not true. A lot of casual American basketball fans are just simply not going to relate to a bunch of Europeans. It's just the truth. And whether you like it or not, the NBA has to accept that fact. So how do you solve that issue? You have to develop American-born superstars. You got to be able to make sure that somebody like Anthony Edwards can eventually become the face of the NBA. Obviously, that was a step in the right direction. Timberwolves Mavericks was an exciting game, even with Luka Doncic getting hurt. As for Lakers Warriors, man, what a game that was. That was an instant classic. That was probably one of the best Christmas Day games that I had ever seen. Obviously, I'm disappointed in how the Warriors lost because I'm a Warriors fan, but my takeaway from it was that that was an incredibly competitive basketball game. You look at how LeBron James, he still proved that he could play basketball at a high level at the age of 40. Obviously, he's not my GOAT, but he's still an all-time great player. Austin Reaves hits the game-winning shot for the Los Angeles Lakers. That was a clutch shot made by Austin Reaves. And then, of course, you look how Steph Curry did everything he could to will the Warriors to a win in that ball game. He just ultimately fell short. Either way, though, that was incredibly impressive. Obviously, I was very satisfied with a lot of games that were being played on Christmas Day for the NBA. The NBA certainly owned the NFL in terms of competition on Christmas Day. The NFL product on Christmas Day was substandard, and the football gods showed us that football should not be played on Christmas. That is the time for football players to be going to church, not playing football. As for basketball, it proves that Christmas is an NBA's day. You look at how the best games played in the regular season often start on Christmas. Therefore, you should try to promote the games that are being played on Christmas if you're the NBA. I thought Charles Barkley was 1000% right in terms of how the regular season should start on Christmas Day for the NBA. That would certainly make it a great opening night of basketball being displayed. I know that their product has not been good the past 5 years, but let's see if the NBA can use Christmas Day as a turnaround point. I doubt it though, because Adam Silver is not a good leader, but we'll see if Adam Silver eventually takes the hint that, hey, you need to promote your product a lot better than whatever you've been doing in recent seasons. It's really that simple. So that is why Christmas should be an NBA's day instead of being an NFL's day, as it has been a long-standing tradition to play NBA games on Christmas Day. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking, like the video, and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I may shout you guys out in my Instagram story every Monday. That'll be for the @DustinAsTran Instagram account. Make sure to follow me on Instagram @DustinAsTran, and that's Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter @DustinAsTran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully, you guys enjoy the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? Make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. Go ahead and like the video, comment down below, check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel, Sports Guy Talking.